Is anything standing in her way now, Laura?
Well, the polls, for one.
Sure.
So we
but
have
of the nomination.
Yes, of the nomination, no. She has that locked up. Theoretically, it is still possible that some dark horse could come in. The delegates are not pledged. The paperwork is not signed. But she is the only clear person to take the nomination at this point. Plus, she now has, based on the money she started with, $96 million plus another $100 million, a war chest of $200 million, which puts her, well above Trump at this point.
Well, as we consider the idea that all this money has come in and all this support has come in for her, there were still some holdouts we were watching. I guess the Obamas still technically count as the holdout camp, but the two biggest Democratic leaders in Congress no longer do. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and House Democratic Leader Hakeem Jeffries offered their endorsements to Harris earlier today.
Now that the process is played out, from the grassroots bottom up, we are here today to throw our support behind Vice President Kamala Harris.
I'm proud to strongly endorse Kamala Harris to be the 47th President of the United States of America. We're going to hold the Senate. We're going to win the House. We're going to elect Kamala Harris as our next president in November.
So, Mike, you obviously help lead our Congress coverage. These were the ones we've been waiting for. Why did they wait so long?
Well, this is really the fat lady singing. The congressional leaders didn't really want to get too far out ahead, and they wanted to be people who help bring the party together no matter what. And they did explicitly say they were waiting until she locked up a majority of the delegates. Then they come out and they say, we're all behind her. And that is basically what Obama is also signaling, that he's going to wait until the drama is over, maybe a little longer just in case something happens, but really to be a guy who comes in and puts the official stamp that it's done.
Yeah, so maybe all of this is really symbolic more than anything else. As we consider what Congress is doing, obviously the Democrats now are all in line. Republicans may be a different matter, as they have to figure out at the Senate level, at the House level, certainly at the Republican presidential ticket level in Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, how to message around Kamala Harris instead of Biden. Yeah,
they're kind of at cross purposes now, but once they have a few more days of polling, I bet you'll see something emerge as a very consistent message. Right now, they're kind of saying, on the one hand, the Democrats should have stuck with Biden, but on the other hand, he shouldn't still be in the White House. There's these kind of confusing messaging, but they'll find things that really try to help define Kamala in the most negative way. And that, more than anything else, is what matters in the next couple of weeks. This is a minor character. It's a high office, second most important office in the land, but to most Americans, a minor character in political dramas, suddenly emerging as a principal character that we're watching. Are they a hero or are they a villain? And the Republicans are going to want to say it's a villain, and the Democrats are going to want to say it's a hero.
Well, we got a little taste of Republican House leadership messaging this earlier in their weekly news conference. Here's what some of them had to say.
This election will be about policies and not personalities, and we are delighted to line up the record of President Trump against the Biden-Harris record.
The number one issue facing Americans, no matter what district across America, is the border crisis. And Kamala Harris is Joe Biden's open border czar.
She's also been the architect of many of President Biden's worst failures. She is far to the left of Joe Biden.
Americans can't afford another 4 years of weak leadership and policy failures that have become the cornerstone of the Harris-Biden administration.
So there's a little sense of how Congress is starting to go about this, Laura. When we consider how Donald Trump is likely to go about this, obviously we've seen some Truth Social posts. Seems like Lion Kamala is a nickname that might be sticking. But Donald Trump also on a campaign call that was actually happening simultaneously with Harris speaking in Milwaukee suggests he does want to debate her. Maybe not on ABC, but he wants to share a stage with her.
Yeah, he said he would debate her perhaps multiple times. Of course, Donald Trump really emerged the victor of the last debate. That was really the event that marked, Biden's exit, the start of Biden's exit from this race. But you also see from how Trump is acting that they feel that they're on the defensive. Trump is, on Truth Social a lot, posting a lot. That's a sign when he feels weak. Also, he had this call with reporters. He almost never does that. That's one of the first things that first times we've seen that this campaign. His campaign put out a memo today saying, hey, look, when the polls come out, it's going to show Harris ahead. Don't worry about that. That's just a little honeymoon phase. So you can kind of see how they're anticipating this surge that she's having right now, anticipating, that all of this positive press, and they're trying to message around it.
Just quickly on the polls, we did get one out from Reuters and Ipsos that suggests, and this is a national poll done online, got to have those caveats, Harris leading Trump 44 to 42%, within the margin of error. Is this really too early to say that the polls are telling us anything, though, Laura?
It's still too early. We'll want to see several more. But if directionally poll after poll starts coming in, having her either tied or ahead of Biden ahead of Trump by a couple points, this will be a key sign to Democrats that they made the right choice in, replacing Biden on the ticket.
So as we consider Democrats at the highest levels of government, Mike, before we go, I do want to mention another Democrat who made some news today. The Democratic senator from New Jersey, at least for another month or so, Bob Menendez, of course, fresh off a conviction on corruption charges, announced today that he is resigning effective August 20th. Perhaps not too surprising, but once he's gone, what happens next?
Well, what will happen is the governor will appoint a temporary replacement until January 3rd when his term ends. But this was like a useful piece of house cleaning to get done now while we're changing presidential candidates, because Democrats had been trying to get him out for a week, and there's a nice contrast that Democrats are trying to make between a prosecutor president versus a convicted criminal president. And it's a little easier to make when you don't have like a convicted criminal caucusing with all the senators in a very salacious bribery case. So important piece of house cleaning. He'll be gone in a month. He'll be replaced.
Well, on the point of a prosecutor versus a criminal, obviously we have heard in the last few days a lot of that from Kamala Harris, talking about her career as a prosecutor in California and the attorney general saying that she knows Donald Trump's type. Could that actually, though, backfire? Because some have suggested that her record as a prosecutor may cause issues with some minorities, for example, who may be reluctant to support her because of some of her activity there.
On the progressive side, it is definitely a risk and a liability she has, her record there, and that could alienate some groups. However, for white suburban women, for some of the groups in the middle, crime is one of the top issues that we see. So there could be a little give and take there, and hard to know exactly how that'll shake out. But in terms of appealing to the middle, being a prosecutor is a helpful thing.